You're listening to the Racer to Racer podcast presented by Race 92. Race 92 is a vintage-inspired racing apparel brand specializing in celebrating vintage race culture and adapting to motorsports today. Check out race92.com for all your racing merchandise needs. I'm your co-host, Aaron McAtee, other co-host you may have seen walking out of Great Clips with a big old smile on his face. He is the one and only Scott Bowie. What is going on?
Hello, Aaron. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Absolutely fantastic.
Good. I guess you did a little camping last week. Beat the rain.
I did. It rained a little bit, but stayed dry. My tent does not leak, so that's a good thing.
That's a start.
It would seem like a very Scott Bowie thing to do, to go camping in the rain and have a tent that leaked.
That would be. And what even would make it even better is that Scott Bowie went out and bought, say, the best tent that they had, saying it would not leak, and then it would leak more than the cheapest tent that they had.
Yep, that is true.
That would be my luck.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. As long as there's a warranty, you'd be all good.
Right.
So, yeah, our guest today, you already know who it is probably because you see the thumbnail image or you see the title. We were really excited to get this one, and this is somebody that I wanted to get for a while. I've kind of known Will or he's at least known who I am for probably the past 15 years or so, which you'll kind of notice during the interview. But yeah, our guest is Will Power. He doesn't really need an introduction.
No, he doesn't. And I tell you, it was awesome. It was such a treat to talk to him. It was better than I thought it would be, because I've never had a conversation with Will, so I wasn't quite sure how it'd go. And man, it was just a good time. It was a fun time. He's so laid back, and it was just great conversation.
Yeah, no, I definitely knew Will would be pretty good. I've talked to him a lot, and he's a funny dude. And his my cat's over here peeking his head up. You heard your cat earlier. Yeah, no, I mean, Will's just a good dude. And I mean, obviously he's won 40 IndyCar races. I mean, just a powerhouse when it comes to, IndyCar racing. I think he's top 2 or 3 in poles.
Top 2, I think, right behind Mario. That's who he's chasing down.
Yeah, but like I was saying, he's just a great guy, funny guy. His brother is actually a comedian. And you can definitely tell that kind of has worn off on him a little bit. He could definitely, I think, be a comedian if he wanted to be. Funny guy.
Yeah, no, he's got great sense of humor, and he just has great delivery.
Yeah,
is what
exactly.
He has. Like the way he answers questions.
Say. Right.
Right. No, it was just it was just a pleasure. It's funny is I had a technical issue immediately when he came on the show, like when we started recording, and I didn't want to stop the show. So I had to do the entire thing blind. So if you notice me step on a question here or there, it could be just because I'm inept, or it could be because I couldn't really get any visual cues. But it was great talking to him. And he talks a little bit about flow state, like how he gets into flow state when he's racing and qualifying, and it's just it just kind of gives you a small insight to what separates good from great.
Yep, but we talked about the one of my favorite parts was talking about the deal with Detroit from this past year.
Yeah, it was a little insight there as to what really happened, which I had never heard discussed anywhere. So that'll be in the show. And what we thought was only going to be 15, 20-minute talk turned into 45-minute hour discussion, I think, something around that. So,
yep.
And he just what's even funnier about Will is there's a guy that really kind of also lets you understand how his mindset is in terms of he doesn't hold on to the past, and he really talks about that during the show, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely a great show. Before we get into news, just wanted to thank everyone for listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you haven't already, make sure you hit like and subscribe on all of our platforms. And we definitely appreciate everyone listening. And we definitely are having some other really great ones coming up. There's one that we're working on scheduling. That's going to be another good one. I actually talked to him on the phone today a couple of times. So yeah, this is also one of the all-time greats. So we're going to have an all-time great episode coming out in probably about a month or so. And then there's going to be some other really good ones as well.
Yeah. And if anybody's watching this one and did not catch our end of season review with Mark James, please go watch it. I think Mark did an excellent job kind of summing up the season. And
yeah,
that was released, I think, last week or 2 weeks. I guess last week.
Yeah, it was last week.
So please go back and watch that one if you haven't watched it. And thanks again to everybody who's listening and watching. And please give us comments or feedback. And maybe one of the comments could be me learning how to talk. But please, just drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah.
Yeah, we actually start getting comments. I don't know. I mean, we get comments every so often, but maybe we can start reading them or something.
Yeah,
a lot
absolutely.
of them will probably be about, like what you should do with your hair, what product you should use. So that's more than welcome as well. And we actually, when we did the Chili Bowl thing, and it was under a different podcast thing when we did it back in, when's Chili Bowl? January?
It was January, yeah.
Yeah, we took some comments live, and it got a little we cut it off at a certain point because they all of them were kind of triggered around Scott's appearance. So we're trying to keep it a family friendly show.
That's so funny. Yeah. Well, it just is what it is, I guess, right?
But hey, Chili Bowl's actually coming up before you know it. So just a few months. So we're looking at hopefully getting something together for that as well.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some of the old band back together and get some new people involved this year. And we haven't quite talked about how we're going to do it yet, but if it's anything like last year, it was a ton of fun for me at least. Yeah. So
absolutely, it'll be good to see everyone again, and I think it'll be even better because we have a little bit more chemistry now, especially me and you, but also them, because I didn't know any of them when we started last year. So I think it'll be a lot of fun again for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to some of the other things we've talked about. And I'm just, man, this has been a hell of a ride this year. It's been a good time.
Absolutely, definitely big things coming. So let's see here, racing news. So we have the U.S. Grand Prix at COTA. Max Verstappen wins. Lewis Hamilton finishes second. I always forget his name right when Sergio Perez finishes third.
Right. I didn't watch much of the race. I saw some of the highlights. Max kind of had that one covered from kind of what I saw. I think he had an 8-second lead at the last pit stop. Is that right? Something around that?
Yeah, because Hamilton had him beat, and then the pit stops and everything, he got soloed out in front of Hamilton, obviously won the race.
Yeah. So, but huge crowd. 400,000 people estimated for over the weekend. Over 200,000, I guess, at the race yesterday.
Yeah, they're comparing it to the Indy 500. I don't know if you can do that, but I think they're saying just the excitement behind it is equal to like the Indy 500.
Oh, I think that's fair. I mean, just from what I saw, it was fair at least. Liberty Media Group's done an excellent job of getting F1 in the States, and people have really taken to it. A lot of it because of the Netflix show. I think that, again, this is another COVID deal where people were home a lot last year and they got into that show, and much like Cobra Kai. I mean, everybody kind of watched Cobra Kai last year, and they also watched the Tiger King and that sort of thing. And I think Drive to Survive kind of fits right in there, and people just got into it, and now it's really paying dividends for them.
Yeah, and there's obviously going to be a new season of that. I know they've been filming it this year, so definitely looking forward to that. And then I know there's something coming out with IndyCar. That's the one we were joking about that apparently is extremely successful.
Yeah, it'll be successful. No, I've never seen it yet, but they say it's really successful. So I think it will be, though. If it gets, let's be honest here. If it gets a quarter of the views of the F1 deal, it's still going to be good.
Yeah.
I hope it does as well as the F1 show. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know what it is about IndyCar, and I love IndyCar, but it just has a hard time getting over the hump. And I was saying this weekend, I said, here IndyCar is really starting to make some strides. And then you look at F1, have this massive crowd at COTA, when last year IndyCar couldn't, or 2 years ago, whenever they ran there, couldn't hardly draw anyone. And it's like, oh, man, that stings a little bit. But, good for F1, and IndyCar's trying. And I think it's growing. It's just it's just a long hill for them.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of IndyCar and Formula One, I haven't heard much more about the whole Andretti Formula One deal. I did hear that apparently the rumor was the deal was done, but you think we would have heard something. So maybe this week is the week.
Supposedly it's a signed deal. It's signed, sealed, delivered. I would imagine it'll be a mega release and, big showy thing. And of course they got to get all the drivers in line and all that. I would assume that's one of the things that they're doing, is trying to get all of that in line. So I imagine when it finally drops, it'll be a big, big showbiz type thing. And good to Michael, man. Good luck, bud. That's going to be a tough road.
And it's I would say that he's buying a mid-pack team.
Well, I think that's fair.
But it's still a big, it's still a big responsibility.
So I think the real payoff in that is the new rules that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So more costs contained, and I don't know exactly what that rule package looks like, but it is I think they have a cost cap and some things like that. I think that's probably what really appealed to him, is that it's not such a wide open checkbook. So that, my guess is that's part of the appeal, which will, if it works anything like it has in IndyCar, it's going to draw that pack closer.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see what happens, especially with Colton, because it definitely sounds like Colton's going to be one of the drivers.
Yeah. Good for him, man. I hope if it is him, he's there when he's 32, because that means he's had a long,
it's one of his dreams. So, you can't blame him.
And then, what's funny about that is, as we're seeing a young American go to F1, you're seeing older F1 drivers and younger F1 drivers coming to America. So, or at least F1 guys with aspirations coming to America to race. So, and I would imagine in the Andretti deal, you'll start seeing a back and forth, would be my guess. Like use this as like a pipeline type thing.
Sure. Yeah, that would definitely make sense. And then we had the NASCAR race in Kansas. Don't even need to say who won, because we're going to sound like a broken record from last week.
Yep, the sun rose and Kyle Larson wins again. Two things that typically seem to happen on Sundays. So, and he won all three stages, I guess. He gets a text in the morning from Rick Hendrick. Rick Hendrick just saying, only thing I want you to do today, if you don't do anything else, is lead lap 5 in honor of his son, because that's where his son got his only win at. And I believe it may have also been on the same day as the crash, the anniversary of the crash, or at least around that. If I have that off, I apologize to people. But he did more than lead lap 5. He led lap 5, lap 50, lap 150, and so on.
As they say, Saturdays are for the boys and Sundays are for Kyle Larson.
Yeah, that's right too. That's how it's been. And his sprint car, the one that's wrenched by Paul Silva, I guess you could say it's Paul Silva's car, wins Trophy Cup overall with another young rising star in Buddy Kofoid. So congratulations to them. People would know Buddy. If you watch midget sprint car racing, they would know him from the Keith Coons Toyota Midget program. He'd broken his wrist earlier this year, I believe, in a stock car crash or something, or maybe it was a midget crash, but I thought it was a stock car crash. But so he was hampered throughout the middle part of the year, but I still think he's leading USAC points. And they're heading out west to finish their season here very shortly. So, again, congratulations to the 57 team, Paul Silva, Buddy Kofoid. That 57 sprint car just keeps on winning.
Yeah. I obviously I don't follow that much, but that's part of the reason why you're on the show. So I appreciate
That's right.
that news.
One of the reasons. That and
many
my
reasons.
good hair.
And the good hair.
My good hair. That's right.
Absolutely. Can't forget about that hair. Well, do we have any other news? I think that may be it.
Yeah, I really don't have anything. Our friend Kent Schmidt, I know we went to watch him race once, and in a rain out.
I actually didn't get to see him race.
Right. Yep. So in a rain out
next year.
But they did win over the weekend at Gas City with Jason McDougall running a non-USAC race, but it was a good show, a good quality field of cars. And shout out to my nephew Brady, who's getting married this Friday. So good for you, Brady. Congratulations. And that's about all the news I have.
Where's the wedding?
It's up north, like Rich Charles, something like that. I have to look at the invitation again. North side of town, north side of Indianapolis, I should say.
I'll definitely have to see a picture of your attire of the wedding. I'm sure. I'm sure that'll be pretty good.
I usually just dress in standard black pants and just show up and say hi to everybody and leave. That's typically what I do.
I think you need to do the Jagger Jones look, our buddy Jagger.
Yeah, with the shaved head.
Or the mullet. He had the mullet with the
Yeah, he had the mullet. I've been down the long hair road. I think my days of having long hair are probably behind me. But I am not ready for the shaved head look.
But you do that, and then you do the same type of pose that he did, where he says, "This is how we do it," or whatever.
Right, that's right. Yeah, you'd have to go to his Instagram, check out his list of photos from school. But yeah.
Well, on that note, I think we'll go ahead and hope everyone enjoys the Willpower interview. Definitely probably one of my favorites, and was someone that definitely wanted to get, and definitely very fortunate, and very glad to have him on.
Yeah, again, it's so enjoyable for me, and I just hope everybody enjoys it. I hope everybody has a great week until we talk to you again next week.
Our guest today not only has given me dating advice for the past 10 years, but also is a 2014 IndyCar Series champion and the 2018 Indianapolis 500 winner. He has 40 IndyCar wins. We are joined by Will Power. Will Power, what is going on?
Hey, what's up? I can't believe that I'm looking at you through a Zoom screen after many years of talking about you becoming a race engineer, trying to get you hooked up with the girl that you're trying to get, and now we're here talking racing. So pretty cool.
Hey man, I'm still waiting. You said you were gonna get that wedding ring for me. I'm still waiting for it.
What wedding? Did I say that? No.
Hey, maybe your wife can order. I heard she's pretty good at ordering things online.
She certainly is. She certainly is very good at that. But it's not like indulgent stuff. It's stuff for the kids and stuff for the house. She's not like, ordering stuff for herself. Exactly. So you got a skateboard deck. Is that memorabilia or is that legit? You're actually a skater. Well, there's no scuffs on it, so I don't think it's skating.
No, this actually is a skateboard that was used by Bucky Lassick. He sells them on his website.
That's cool. I was a skater.
And he's a race. He races too. So that's why I like Bucky Lasek. He races rally.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I used to skate.
Oh, really?
Javits, yeah. Too old now, but I would still give it a go. I'd still definitely give it a go.
Right. So, talk a little bit about, so when you started racing, what did you have like an initial goal? I mean, was it to drive in Formula One or to drive an IndyCar, or was it just to be a race car driver at that point?
Well, when as early as I can remember, I wanted to be a Formula One driver. I mean, that was what I wanted to do. I loved it. That's all I watched as a little kid. And then, I raced go-karts, and it was never, it was never, it's all I wanted to do, but it was never like this planned out thing until 2000, when I was probably 19. And then I was just full on about it after that point. Then I really was chasing that dream. Like it was the first time I had a ride in a factory car. And then I chased that really hard with everything I had, and just kept creeping up, getting up the ladder, getting some money, keep going. I really didn't have the means to be able to do it, but I did. I got there, and that was just through perseverance and determination and wanting it bad enough.
Right. And speaking of F1, did you ever actually get to test an F1 car?
Yes, I did. I tested the Minardi in 2004 at Mazzano.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, that was nuts. Great experience. Actually, that was the same. Not long after that, was it 04? Yeah, I tested that in 04. Then not long after that, I had my first, in 05, had my first IndyCar test, and that's where that all started.
Right. So obviously in the IndyCar Championship, you had 3 years in a row where you were runner-up. And then, I mean, every year, something would happen. What was it like actually after that, being able to, finally win? I mean, I'm sure it was a big weight lifted off your shoulder. And I'm sure at some point you were probably thinking like, I just got to accept the fact that I'm never going to win the championship.
Yes, that was actually the beginning of the 14 years, exactly what I said to myself. Well, I'm not going to win it, so may as well just go and have fun and race hard. And that's what I did. And I did win the championship. And that approach obviously didn't continue to work. So, it's just it's a constant changing atmosphere in IndyCar. It's obviously got very competitive, a lot of good guys, a lot of good teams, and it's very difficult to win races. But, same formula still applies. You've got to get everything right. And, I think Scott Dixon's formula is clearly one that you can use, but I feel like that now it's actually got so competitive that you can't even do that anymore. Like, it's like Pagano's style of just finishing every race used to be, something you could do. Now you really, really have to push the envelope. And I think that's why you're seeing so many mixed up results, because the field is too tough to just sit back and try trying to get top 5 now is really difficult. Like, you really, really got to try hard to be in the top 5. I mean, not that you weren't trying, but you really got to get everything right. So you have to win races to win the championship. You definitely got to win, 2 or 3 races to win the championship, and that's hard to do that. So the landscape once again changed. It still comes down to not having those DNFs. That's the one thing that is, really, when you look at this year, it's going to be the guy that has the least of those. I can see it's between Newgarden, Pato, Palou, and who am I missing? There's one other. No, it was Herder, but
is Dixon not in it anymore?
Oh, Dixon is in it. Yeah, Dixon. Ericsson's in it too. I kept thinking Herder, but I was like, no, he's back where I am. He's had too many, bad runs, unlucky runs.
But at least you finally got a win this year, so it kind of broke your bad luck streak.
It certainly did, yeah. Not necessarily bad luck. Those.
Well, Detroit was kind of a bad luck deal, right?
You would say that what are the chances of that glitch happening right there and then is crazy.
Right.
The chance of that actual glitch, the way you switch it down, and it hit a bump for 3/10, it went back up, and then put it in a locked loop that you have to plug a computer in to unlock it. Like, what are the chances? And that system was only on my car. No other car had that system. They were trying something different on my car for whatever reason. And I was like, why my car? Why would you not put it on, someone else? Like, yeah, I have never asked the question, actually. I didn't say, like, why would you put it on my car? Yeah, it's just a weird thing, man. Like, how could that happen there and then? Like, it's just, but that's racing, right? Like, it will, if it's going to happen, it'll happen at the worst time. But once again, it was a glitch that I found out for everyone else. No one else will have that glitch. But believe me, every time there's a red flag now, I carefully switch it off and carefully switch it on. So no shaking.
That's funny. And then, so obviously you kind of had a similar thing with the 500. I remember, obviously 2015, that's when I was in Poland. I remember it was like, I don't know, 10 or 11 and 9. I was watching like I couldn't watch it on TV. I was watching like the leaderboard. And I mean, you were so close to Montoya, and obviously Montoya ended up winning. So when you actually, win the 500 in 2018, I'm sure that's something very similar, a similar feeling as well, where, you finally won the 500 is probably something you probably didn't think you were ever going to be able to do, right? Or
Yep, that was exactly. I actually said that. I was like, actually, I was very disappointed in my career up to that point, because I'd sat back and thought about, I think I'd had a pretty rough start to the year, and just like, man, with all the races and I've won, I feel like I'm going to finish my career without winning this race. And I think it was a contract year as well. And then I won the road course and I won the Indy 500, and it just, man, what a relief. What an amazing month. Amazing month. Like, what I'd do to be able to do that again, to win that race again, it would be amazing. I couldn't imagine being Elio, 4-time winner. It's crazy.
Do you find that race, the farther away you get from the win, even though it's only been a few years, does the importance of it still, does it magnify the importance of it, or is it just something that just naturally time magnifies?
I just think, I think it does. I think the further away you get from it, the more desire is there. It just simply is. I mean, it's such a hard race to win. It's such a prestigious race to win with so much history. It's such a big deal. No one's ever going to win it 4 years in a row. No one's ever going to win it 3 years in a row. So, your odds of winning is pretty tough. It's pretty, be it Penske, the odds go up, and, you certainly have a better chance. If you're on the right side of the manufacturer, your odds go up as well. You start narrowing it down, then just getting everything right on that one day for that one race that's once a year.
Right.
Tough, man. Which is why it's so significant to win. It is very, very hard to win.
I think the last back-to-back winner is Big Al, right? 70, 71?
Nah, Elio.
Elio, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Elio. I'm so sorry. Yes, you're right. My apologies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's pretty nuts. Elio could win 5. I think, like I said, when you look at the odds, the chances of it is pretty slim to be able to do it just when you do the numbers. But he could. There's nothing like he could do it.
Right. Well, that's crazy. He could already have 5. That's the crazy thing. I mean, he's been close.
Yeah.
He could have really had 6. I mean, there was a couple of years.
Yeah. And it's funny, like some tracks are just good to people. And I would say that track is good to Elio. I look at Pocono, it's just good to me. I was really good there, and it just almost won every race that we went to there. What do I have? I won 3 races there, and in those 4 years, once was second, so that was almost 4 races. And the year I think before that, I had led a lot of laps. But yeah, Elio certainly clicks with that place, whether it's not even necessarily clicks, but I would say he's really good. Like in years that we struggled, Elio was the one up there fighting for the win. Like we would, the team would struggle, but whether it was a manufacturer or whatever, like the year with Hunter Ray, but Elio was there fighting for the win. And there was a few years like that where he finished second. He just simply didn't have the speed that year because, I think Honda had a bit of an upper hand. But, that goes back and forth year in, year out.
Speaking of which, I mean, you look at the year you had the Speedway this year. I mean, it was such a tough go. And it was kind of that way for you from the very moment of the very first practice, wasn't it? I mean, because you had that blower or something that was accidentally left on the car and it come off. It was just such a strange month for you.
It was, and it was like I actually went in expecting a lot because we'd done so much work in the off season. And it was just blew my mind when we came to qualifying day where they upped the boost. Because the day before they upped the boost, we did a qualifying run on the low boost. And from what we could understand from the numbers is like, actually, we're pretty quick. We're right there. And then they put the boost up and we're like, no, we're not. We're not even close. And then obviously it became real hectic when it was like, well, we may not make the field.
Right.
What a great day. Like, it was almost like qualifying on pole, man. Like, to get in the field was awesome. Gives you a lot of respect for the place. Gives you a lot of respect for making the field. It really does. So, what would be amazing is if I went there next year and we won the pole. Go from
right, and it could happen. And what was the year, Scott, that Penske did not make the 500?
95, right? And that was the last year they were there for 6 years or something like that.
Yeah, until
5 years.
Come back.
Yeah,
on it straight up, right?
Yeah, they kind of come back in a weird deal with Jason Leffler, but it was like a combined deal, and then they come back the year after that with Helio.
Yeah,
and Helio won. Yeah, but man, it's just such a. Who'd ever thought anybody had ever been to Speedway? You never think you'd see any Rogers cars, not just one but 3 cars miss a show.
Yeah. Apparently Emo had done a time that was good enough when Roger waved it off. And then Emo was like, they were in an argument after. I was like, why'd you wave that off? We're not going to go faster. It's kind of, So they may have had one car make the field, but that's just changing in racing, man.
So going through that then, and of course it's not the month of May like it used to be, but you got a kind of a taste of that month of May, how it can kind of get on you and it doesn't get off you. Mentally you were strong enough to overcome it in the end, but how, kind of walk us through a little bit how that starts to just kind of wear on you. Because it at some point it has to feel like no matter what I do, I cannot overcome this.
Well, that's actually the feeling. It's a helpless feeling because, once you realize there is nothing we can do to this car to go faster, like for whatever reason, there's just nothing. But then when you have a teammate go fast, you're like, well, how can that be? Like, what's changed? But it wears on you. Could definitely wear on you there every day and trying this and that and everything you can try and get confused and wears you down. Certainly an easier month when you just have a fast car because then you're just tickling on it. You just just doing a little bit of this and that and you're just getting it right in the window instead of throwing everything out and changing this and that and just getting confused. And it's a tough place. It's a tough place. It makes you appreciate it if you can win that event, man.
Yeah, I can't imagine going through that. I to that degree, especially for someone who's won it and you want to win it again, and teammates are pretty fast, and it's got it has to be so frustrating.
Yeah, it's racing. Like racing, you start to learn that you can't care too much about some of the things that happen to you because they really evenly happen to most. Like everyone has their ups and downs pretty evenly. Like there's no, like, I know people say to me, like, oh, you've had so much bad luck. But I'm like, it probably looks that way because I've qualified at the front 64 times. And you know, I don't know how many races I won from pole, but I can tell you there's a lot of races I didn't win from pole. So it always looked like you're getting bad luck. But if I'd just qualified 10th or something, it wouldn't even be known. It would look as though I'd had really good luck because, you know, I'm, you know, moving forward or not. You know, if you have a bad day, it's not even recognized. But if you start on pole and you're leading and then something happens, say, oh man, bad luck. But yeah, certainly I would say the rules of IndyCar certainly didn't favor qualifying on pole. When I think about my career, if it was pretty normal, like Formula One rules, I would have won a lot more races, a lot more.
Right.
Just the fact that, you know, if you start on pole and you're leading and a lot of people pit and it goes yellow, you're going behind every single person that pit. So you're back in 12th or 15th position. And it's really through no, it's just that's just luck there. And yeah, I guess the way you control that is just not be out when be one of the first to pit, but then the guy behind is going to get you, go longer. So tough gig, but it's part of IndyCar racing. That could be changed quite easily. That they've actually gone halfway with it, so it's not bad. Like they will leave the pits open, and if the car's not in a bad position, allow people to pit, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they try not to get you down too bad.
Yeah, it's not
these days.
They're aware of it, which is really good. Really
right.
Good.
Yeah. So funny story. I just thought of this. So funny story from this year. It was right before the 500. You were coming out of the media center, and my buddy's son, he's like 8 or 9. He walked up to you. You probably don't remember this, but it was so funny. He walked up to you and he goes, "Will, I know you're pissed, and I'm pissed for you."
What was that? Which race?
Before the 500.
Oh, before the 500.
Yeah, you were coming out of the media center and getting on a golf cart.
Why? What had happened? I can't remember.
Well, it was because where you were starting for the 500.
Oh, after qualifying?
So this was actually right. He said this to you like right before the race. This was on race day, and you were leaving the media center before the race. So you were probably doing like pre-race interviews or whatever.
I don't remember that. I do remember. I can't remember. I don't know. Too many people say stuff.
Oh, I bet. I can only imagine. So we're talking a little bit about how competitive it is this year. Do you think the competitive level is more this year? I mean, you were seeing all these new first-time winners. I mean, do you really notice like a big like step of competitiveness, or does it seem kind of like the other years?
Well, I kind of went back and thought about it. In 2013 and 14, when we had that DW12, like especially 14, like it was really competitive because everyone had the same thing for multiple years. And that's what's happening here. We've got the same car and everyone's just narrowing in on the, you know, the little details. So everyone's really good. You know, I don't think the level of, I mean, you're always getting more information and ways to understand how to be better at driving, be faster, just through technology. But yeah, ultimately, like let's just say there's probably now more better teams than there ever was. There's more teams that are in the game than there ever was. But I look back, you know, Justin Wilson had been a coin car winning.
Yeah.
You know, I look back like that. Ever since they went to the DW12, that formula where everyone has the same stuff, it's been more competitive. It's put a lot more people in the game to be able to win. That's exactly, that's more what it is. But it's certainly a lot of good guys that can win races week in, week out. I would say there's more guys that can win than there ever have been. Like teams and drivers. Like there's no one sticking out with an advantage. And, you know, when we had body kits and all that, that was a little different.
Right.
Like you could have a big advantage. Like I felt like the Chevy body kit on road and street cars was just a big advantage. You know, so in like 16, when we had that 16, maybe I can't remember, 15, but 15, 16, like I had a bad year. I won 4 races You know, Peugeot won 5 races, and I felt like it was really, if I was feeling good and everything was right, I reckon I could have won 6 or 7 races because I felt like we had a bit of an advantage. But then when I went back to 18 and the car was back to standard, it became really hard again. It was a 17.
As a driver, do you, or as a competitor, I really should say, do you prefer that wide openness of it, where the more engineering can take over and Penske can maybe engineer a better product, or as a driver, do you like it more confined, where it's, you know, everybody's kind of equal and you're really showing on your talent?
I want it all to be equal because you know exactly that. You know, it's about sorting the car out. Everyone has the same opportunity. I think that's way better for the sport. I just think stuff like Mercedes does. You know, I just think it's just terrible. I just couldn't imagine like I feel like the wins wouldn't mean as much to you if you won with just a clear advantage. They'd kind of be, oh man, yeah, I got a pole, but it wasn't that hard fought. I love that the parity's so great. I love that anyone can win. And I think it mixes up the season more. It just, you know, and really it puts a lot more emphasis on getting a good driver. Yeah, that's how I just can't see any other way to do racing. Every racing series is heading that way, and they should. But the engineering side is pretty cool, certainly. Like there is some cool innovation that comes through all that, but it ruins racing. It ruins.
Well, in my opinion, I think you're absolutely right. The competitive side of me, as somebody who's been kind of in the lower end of the sport, there are certain things, you know, I think it's cool if somebody can out-engineer someone.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. But I think for the betterment of the entire sport,
definitely,
I like where IndyCar is today. I would like to see another engine manufacturer personally, but I mean, that's just whatever. I mean, but I think outside of that, I think the sport's really right on point of where the direction it should be and where it should be at.
Yeah. I mean, it actually brings a bit of money into the series because teams feel like a team feels that they have a shot to win if they get, you know, good engineers, good people, good driver, you come in and win. Like you look at Grosjean, first year, you know, legit contender. So yeah, certainly that's the right way to do it. Just there's no other way, in my opinion. Like you've got to have it that way. As much as I would love if it was open, like we would win a lot of races. We would win a lot more races because we got the resources. But I don't think that's good. It actually, it would, you know, you'd love just to bolt stuff on like in your 40s or 45s. Like, yeah, just bolt into the fastest car and win more races. But nah, got to have that competition, man. That's what makes it good.
And that's exactly what happened with Bourdais. When he went to Coin, I think they hired his engineers from when he won all the races in Champ Car.
Yeah. They had Craig Hampson there, Olivier. Yeah, I mean, that's some good stuff. Bourdais, any team Bourdais goes to, he sorts that team.
One thing I've never understood is how Bourdais has never really been picked up by a bigger IndyCar team.
Oh, yeah, I say it all the time. I say it to the guy that is manager. I say, I just can't believe someone hasn't wanted to benefit from that. Someone like McLaren would benefit tremendously.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's very good engineering-wise, very good at sorting a car. And I think that's what O'Ward would need. Like, I think if they had Bourdais, O'Ward would do better. He would. He'd be a better car. O'Ward just drives the hell out of anything. You know, he's too early in his career to be able to sort the car to be kind of understand what it needs to be fast, to be good over a stint.
Do you like like when you can test and that sort of thing, or do you more prefer just the racing side of it? I mean, do you like the sorting it out and working with engineers and all that, or?
If there's a lot to sort out, I don't mind the test days, you know, but it's hard on test days. You've got to have the competition to progress because you've got to know where you're lacking. You've got to know what the problem is.
Right.
So the race weekend for me, like, I don't particularly enjoy testing anymore. When I was younger, I just wanted to be in the car all the time. But now, the weekend is all that I, is what I enjoy the most, competing.
Do you do a lot of simulation work with the simulator?
Yeah, pretty much on the sim before every race. Yeah, in the Chevy sim. Sometimes it hurts you. Sometimes it helps. So it's not accurate enough yet to do, to really. Yeah, sometimes, if you're learning a track, it's awesome. But right. I know all the tracks. So, yeah, it's hit or miss at the moment.
And I know that's something Jimmy Johnson's been doing before, like every race. I think he comes to Indy and he does the Honda simulator. What do you think is a big? Kind of explain how, because some people have been kind of criticizing Jimmy on, he's been finishing, but he's been making quite the improvement, and kind of explain like how hard it is to go from driving one type of car to another. And I don't think you've ever driven a NASCAR, but you at least have some kind of idea.
Yeah, I drove supercars, but such a different animal. Like, it's so, I actually was impressed how well he did when he came back to Indy Road Course. So that's the track he had the most experience. This last race, I thought, man, he's like every single driver in that field have done so much open wheel and go-karting and nimble, quick cars. So tough order at his age to be able to try switch all that over. But he would have significantly improved as a road course driver, like significantly. Like him in a sports car now would be a pretty good guy to have because of his experience in IndyCar. But it's just that last, when you're starting to try to get that last second, like starting to get those little tenths off, it's very, very difficult. But yeah, I saw him have his best race at Indy Road Course. I thought he's starting to get on top of the car, see him a bit more on the onboards, being ahead of the car and corrections and such. But tough man. Like, it's obviously an amazingly talented guy. Having to work it all out again very late in his career. So, but yeah, I commend him for doing it. Like, that's pretty cool.
And I know there's talk he's going to do the 500 next year, so I definitely think he'll be pretty competitive on the oval. He's won the oval 5 times, so I think 4 or 5.
Oh, he'll be way more in his wheelhouse, and also way more dependent on the car speed. It's not, as you saw with Kurt Busch, it's very much about the car. So if that's using the car, he will be up there. He'll be up there running. He can do really well.
You were just talking about getting that last second, or in the level of sport you're at, it's in the tenths. And what do you think makes you that guy who's sat on so many poles, and that guy can always find that last little bit? What do you think it is about you specifically where that you can find that edge? You can just find out that just that little bit more.
It's a very difficult thing to put your finger on, which the later in my career, the more I've understood it, but then you'll lose it. And, you just, it's because it's so subconscious. It's so, you can't consciously process that information that quickly, and do it with deliberation, so yeah, it's very, I think it's a fire. It's certainly something to having, a fire in your belly. Like, there's something for that, extracting more out of yourself than going to a higher level, getting to a level that you kind of that you don't get into very often. It's almost like one lap of race.
So it's like you hear other athletes talk about the zone. Yes. So basically you're saying you're just in the zone. It's subconscious. Yes, you're doing it, but you're not reacting, you're acting, but it's all working together on some other level.
It is on some other level, yes. On some of those laps I've done, and I don't always get there. It's a weird level. It's an area that's hard to get into, I would say. It's why it's so difficult to explain because it's subconscious, not conscious. There's certainly a lot of conscious elements to it, hitting all your marks and everything. It's just some area you can get into, which is very difficult to explain. It's
Does it slow down for you? Like,
yeah,
is it almost like, yeah,
almost, yeah. It's a weird area. It's like it's
like you can see more things are coming in.
You probably do slow the process down. You're a little bit ahead of it. You're a little bit something, but yeah, it's just an amount of yeah. I can't explain it. I will when my career's over. More into detail of what that is.
Sure.
You've seen that video of Rossi where he's blindfolded and he's got the steering wheel and he's doing the Long Beach Grand Prix and he says, turn here, and he was like spot on.
Yeah. Yeah, you certainly get there and visualizations and
yeah, that's all part of the subconscious and all that.
Yes. Yeah. Subconscious is nuts how accurate it is, like nuts. If you can self-hypnotize, you'll realize how accurate the subconscious is. I just can't believe how accurate it is. It's crazy the level, and I don't understand that. It must be a part of the brain that scientists just don't understand, is that part of the brain. Maybe that has something to do with consciousness itself.
Right. I've heard of people getting like hypnotized. I was a big fan of, like, if you know who Rob Dyrdek is, he's had a bunch of TV shows on MTV. And he like visited a hypnotist or whatever when he was, I don't know, just got out of high school, whatever. And, they hypnotized him that he would be successful. And I mean, look what he's done. So, maybe there's definitely something to it.
But I don't mean that, like, you can self-hypnotize. You can self-hypnotize yourself, like at any time. You'd be in the race car and self-hypnotize yourself. And it's not, I don't mean like you're in hypnosis, but I saw a really good guy that understood that well, and he showed me how accurate the subconscious brain is, and it just blew my mind. And since then I was like, oh yeah, it's so accurate. It's crazy. And that's why someone can shoot a bullet and the dude with a sword can hit the bullet or cut it in half. There's a guy that does that, and there's guys who flip
I've never seen that. I'm gonna have to look that up.
And that's how accurate your subconscious brain is. It works on a level that is something that we don't know, but that's where some of the amazing human accomplishments come from at times, when mothers have to save a child, or there's some area that you can get into that it's not easy to get into, but it's just you're on another level. But yeah, I think tapping into some of that stuff is where some amazing things happen.
Well, you have anything else for him, Scott?
I don't. I sure don't want to keep him much longer, but boy, we'd sure love to talk to you again, Will.
Yeah, no problem. It's cool. Well, I'll see you guys at the track.
Yeah, but I don't think you've ever met Scott, but obviously you know me.
Yeah, no, I know you. I think I've stopped before.
We may have met once in passing, but I just have so much respect for you and your intensity. I know you catch a lot of flack for that deal. What was it, Milwaukee or wherever it was, where the double bird deal?
Oh yeah.
But it's all based, because you're intense and you want to win, and it just I have so much respect for that. And man, again, I can't thank you enough for giving us a little bit of time to be able to speak with you. And hopefully, maybe like we said in the off season, we could sit down and have a longer conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
Good. No, I appreciate it, Will. Like we were saying earlier, I remember you when your first year with KV, which was like 07 or 08. And so I've definitely seen you come a long way. So it's definitely been great.
Hey, I'm so sorry. There's one question, because when you first came along with KV and that, I mean, it was no secret you weren't a fan of the ovals.
Yeah.
And today you are. Just kind of a brief summary. What was that process of really kind of changing your mindset toward the ovals?
Certainly, I would say a bit of success, but the more I understood the oval, the better. I probably would have won more championships had I had more experience on ovals when I was fighting Dario, but just a lack of experience, honestly. But I think the formula of racing, when they changed that, they took a bit of downforce off and they put it more in the driver's hands, and it wasn't just dumb, easy, flat, and you really had to work on the car. I think I started to enjoy it more then, but even since then, I actually enjoyed the pack racing. I actually enjoyed, when you were doing it, it was so dangerous, and I hated it for that. But the actual racing in a pack and side drafting, I was actually really good at it when I did it. At times, I felt I should have won Chicagoland. I actually did well at racing in that way, but it just, after Weldon was killed, it's just why are we doing this? I mean, it's just insane.
And your crash from that was equally as horrifying. So
yeah,
yeah,
but oval racing, it's a different animal. It's I really like it. It's a cool discipline. It requires a lot of experience and using your head a lot. It's but that gradually changed. It wasn't just one time oh wow, I love ovals. It just got better and better and better at it, to the point where it's I can go to any oval now and I reckon I can win. I have a chance at winning. So where before it was oh no, we're going to an oval, I've got no chance. So yeah.
Well,
all right. Well, thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you, Will. Well, I'll see you at the track sometime.
Yep, will do. Thank you.